Welcome to the Turing test. Today, we're diving into the battleground of AI, the scrappy open source upstarts versus the trillion-dollar titans of big tech, like GPT-5 and Gemini.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. So we're talking about the new era of AI competition?
Exactly, it's like a race where community models are pitting their brains, like Meta's Llama 4 Maverick with its sparse mixture of experts architecture, right? Despite having just 17 billion active parameters out of 400 billion, it's, outperforming benchmarks that GPT-4 Turbo and even Gemini 2.0 Flash are struggling with, according to docspot.ai.
Yeah, I've heard that internal tests are showing real promise. But what about the French contender, Mistral, and its Mixtral design?
Great point. Mistral's Mixtral is really interesting. It packs 141 billion parameters, and yet runs as if it only had around 40 billion. Essentially, it's fast, cheap, and efficient, which means the price-performance gap is not only closing, but actually turning into a serious squeeze on big tech.
That price-performance squeeze sounds like a game changer. Can you break down the economics for us a bit more?
Sure thing. So take Llama 370B, for example. It's reportedly up to 50 times cheaper and 10 times faster than GPT-4 when using cloud APIs, as per a Vellum AI head-to-head test from last year.
Yeah.
And that translates into massive cost savings. For instance, AT&T ditched ChatGPT in favor of a distilled multi-model OpenStack and slashed its inference costs to just 35% of what they were, while still nailing about 91% of the accuracy, as highlighted on businessinsider.com.
Wow, that's impressive indeed. So, while these community models are gaining ground in both performance and cost, big tech still seems to wield enormous scale, right?
Absolutely. The scale of big tech is staggering. I mean, training GPT-4 reportedly cost over $100 million, according to kudocompute.com. And then you have Google's Gemini 2.0 Flash, which doesn't only focus on raw language understanding, but also brings in real-time audio-video processing and native tool use, spanning search, and even Android XR, per blog.google. The open projects just don't have that kind of war chest yet.
But here's a twist. It's not all about spending big bucks, right? I've heard that a Chinese lab, Deepseek, claims to hit GPT-4 class results for only about $5 to $6 million in compute.
Exactly. It's like rewriting the cost curve by leveraging falling hardware prices and clever routing techniques. Llama's sparse experts being a prime example. Even if some skeptics poke holes in these numbers, the notion is clear. You can get impressive performance without burning a hole in your budget.
And that naturally brings us to another key dimension, regulation. With everything moving so fast, how are regulators keeping up with these innovations?
Yeah, regulation is a big topic. The EU AI Act kicked in on August 2nd, 2025, mandating transparency reports, bias testing, and energy disclosures from general-purpose models. Meanwhile, open source models get lighter requirements unless they're labeled as posing a systemic risk, though they still have to log copyright compliance.
That's interesting. So it seems like big tech might hit a heavier paperwork wall, especially with projects like GPT-5, which is expected later this summer per Sam Altman's interview on bleepingcomputer.com.
Exactly. Big tech argues that such disclosure could risk intellectual property. But for open projects, where weights are already public, it's kind of a natural compliance by default. Yet, there's a flip side. Lawmakers are really worried about safety issues. A recent R Street study warned that openly downloadable weights might be tuned for cyber attacks or even biothreat instructions, suggesting that maybe a hybrid licensing and close monitoring might be the right approach, as noted on rsstreet.org.
So, there's this delicate balance between fostering innovation through openness and ensuring that freely available tools aren't misused.
Exactly, and that leads us to security and misuse. Big tech has an edge here with closed APIs that can quickly shut down abuse. OpenAI's February update on threat intel described how they throttle malicious traffic in near real time, as seen on cdn.openai.com. In contrast, open-weight models rely on community vigilance, which, while transparent and audit-friendly, come with their own risks, like those pesky backdoor scares we've seen in mainstream open-source packages.
But then again, transparency offers benefits too. Independent researchers can audit the code, reproduce alignment tests, and push necessary patches without having to rely on a single vendor. It's like having the whole community as an extra layer of security.
Spot on. And speaking of community, let's talk about customization and innovation. Enterprises are all about fine-tuning these models. A recent LinkedIn Pulse survey found that 92% of companies saw improved model accuracy after tailoring the open weights with their proprietary data, as reported on LinkedIn.com. And with tools like vector databases and low-rank adaptation, businesses can spin up a private chatbot in days instead of weeks. That's way cheaper than wiring every workflow to an external API.
While open models seem to allow more nimbleness, big tech isn't sitting still either. With GPT-5 promising built-in personalization and Gemini's Gen AI SDK offering agent templates, the competition feels a lot like a high-stakes race, huh?
Oh, totally. It's less about a David versus Goliath scenario and more like two Formula One teams battling with different engines, but on the same track. Constant upgrades and rapid iterations on both sides. Each is forcing the other to innovate, drop prices, and clarify what exactly customers get.
You know, one might argue that this regulatory and security burden could actually slow big tech down. Isn't that a risk for them?
I get that perspective, but honestly, innovation often thrives under constraints. Big tech has the resources to absorb regulatory challenges, while open source projects continue to push boundaries with community-driven improvements.
True.
In the end, this competitive pressure could mean more choices and better outcomes for users and developers alike.
It's like the race isn't just about who finishes first. It's about the technology built along the way that can benefit everyone.
Precisely. And let's not forget that the industry is already seeing the benefits in terms of cost efficiency and innovation. Open source models have compelled big tech to drop prices, release faster updates, and offer more transparency, making the ecosystem healthier overall.
Yeah. So can the underdogs actually topple the giants? Maybe not entirely, but they're definitely rewriting the rules of engagement.
Exactly. They're forcing big tech to stay on its toes. And for us, developers, researchers, and even casual users, that means more choices and a vibrant, healthier competitive landscape in AI.
Right. And that's the beauty of this market. It's evolving like a Formula One race, with constant pit stops for optimization and innovation.
Totally. And it's exciting to think about where this will lead. Tomorrow, for instance, we'll be unpacking multimodal agents in healthcare. Imagine robots in waiting rooms. Spoiler alert, they might not be too keen on waiting around.
I can already picture that. Robots hustling to keep the patients engaged while smoothing out the healthcare process.
Absolutely. With all the advancements we're discussing today, the future of AI is not just about raw power, but also about how quickly and responsibly it can be deployed in different arenas. Whether it's open source models or proprietary giants, the push for innovation is clearly benefiting everyone.
Definitely. So, as we wrap up today's deep dive, it seems like the AI arms race is really shaping up as a win-win scenario, a blend of cost efficiency, rapid technological turnover, and greater regulatory clarity.
That's right. And for our listeners, it means more competitive options that spark innovation, drive down costs, and ultimately deliver better technology.
Yeah, very cool. Well, that certainly gives us a lot to think about. The landscape of AI is in a state of constant flux, and it's our job to keep up with all these twists and turns.
Exactly. And whether you lean towards the nimbleness of open source projects or the robust scale of big tech, one thing's for sure. The future promises faster iterations, smarter solutions, and a lot more transparency.
Absolutely. It's been a killer discussion today, and I can't wait to see what's next out there.
Thanks for joining in, and be sure to tune in tomorrow when we talk multimodal agents in healthcare. Trust me, it's going to be a fascinating ride.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments, both the good and the critiquing ones.